Kyle Draper is the team leader of Serene Team located in the greater Los Angeles area. Kyle is an LA native and graduate of UCLA. He has over a decade of experience and founded the Serene Team around 2020 and around the COVID area. He has an extensive background in entertainment, and because of that background, he represents a lot of high profile celebrity clientele in his real estate endeavors. Kyle, thank you so much for joining this conversation and sharing a bit about your real estate journey and your team. To start off the conversation, could you share a bit about your origin story? How did you get into the real estate industry?
Sure. I kind of, well, first, thanks for having me. This is super fun. But yeah, I kind of got backed into real estate almost because when I was in college, I was doing music production and I was on a path to do that, but then I kind of pivoted and was going to be a lawyer for musicians. And like I just had this epiphany that I didn't want to do that at the end of the day. I actually like paid a deposit for law school and took the LSAT and was super on that course, but just realized that like the work I'd be doing wouldn't really speak to my soul. And so I was also kind of getting back into music a bit. Me and my like childhood best friend were co-producing, and so I'm sitting my parents down at the dining room table, and I'm like, I'm not going to law school anymore, guys. And they were both super supportive. And my mom was a real estate agent at the time. She kind of got licensed later in life. And was very excited about the idea of like, oh shoot, well you could kind of come on board, we could partner a little bit. And so she said that she was like, we support you, but it's going to be tricky to figure out how you're going to be making money in music. So in the interim, let's partner. I'll throw you on a deal or two, and you can make some income. And fast forward 10 years, I never really figured out how to properly monetize the music industry, and I got really, really good at the real estate side. And it was like, I was selling houses basically to finance. We had a record label and a recording studio, and I was just selling houses during the day, and then like in the studio at night, like writing offers on the couch while we're like making songs and whatnot. And it was such a fun time. But like as I got better at real estate, our budgets ended up getting bigger and bigger on the music side of things, and it just was turning into like me lighting money on fire. Um, and and then things kind of shifted because I was super passionate about real estate, was really enjoying it. But for example, I like had staff on the music side of things and we were not profitable over there. And I just was kind of realizing like, whoa, like just the economics of the whole thing, like this is
Mhm.
crazy. And what started out as me selling houses to finance my passion of music, it almost shifted to where music was really like this kind of issue in my life. Like I had all these responsibilities and these costs and overhead and obligations to artists I was working with and stuff. But it was like, whoa, like I kind of don't want that anymore, and I want to be able to go like fully all in real estate, which is shifting to like building teams and whatnot. So I kind of had this epiphany when I turned 30 years old that like, okay, that was great. I have no regrets, but I really have nothing to show for all the success that I've had in terms of, starting to build my investment portfolio and, build staff up in real estate and all that. So that was kind of the big shift. And then COVID comes along right when we're forming Serene Team, which very much changed our kind of identity and our fabric. Like I thought we were going to be a hyper local team that we're crazies, where we're in the office every morning and we have our in the office huddle every morning. And with COVID, we had to go virtual, and that was such a blessing in disguise because um, it allowed us to attract agents that would not have been a good fit for that in the office morning huddle every time for multiple reasons. Maybe it's just geography. We have our offices in Culver City, but we have agents who live and work out in San Bernardino County, which is very far from Culver City. So it let us spread geographically really wide because I was like, well, yeah, we have a morning Zoom every morning. That's what is kind of the glue of our team. And I can get lead flow really wherever, and all the cool systems and amazing Elena key, action plans like those work regardless of where these lead flows come in. So it let us grow really wide. And then also, like some moms are able to tune into the Zoom like as they're dropping their kids off at school in the morning, and so they're able to be a part of our community and be fully plugged in. Where if we had that in-office requirement, it just wouldn't have happened. So it was not how I drew it up, but I'm so glad that it evolved that way, and it kind of recently culminated in the LA Clippers reached out to us to be their official like residential real estate partner. And I asked them like, why did you seek us? And they said our sales map is so kind of spread out, that they really like that because they want us to be able to, kind of represent and service their fan base, and their fan base is not like a niche hyper local Manhattan Beach team or something like that. So yeah, that's kind of how we got started.
It's pretty neat. Whenever you were going back to your music days, I'm just curious,
Mhm.
whenever you were doing music production, was it a specific genre of musicians you were working with, or was it all over the place?
It was all over. I mean, everything kind of stemmed in some derivative of pop music, whether that's like electronic, rock, hip. I mean, yeah, but we kind of liked leaning a little left of center with our stuff. The main artists that we did the most with, like we, did major music festivals and toured a bit, and would have like New York press release weeks when we'd have releases and all that. He was like electronic pop, kind of like The Weekend, but a little more like left of center leaning. So it was fun. We really had a lot of fun, but again, it just needed to kind of shift gears on that side of things.
Yeah, yeah. I know a lot of people can be scared to start a team, but it sounds like you were just ready to go all in. When did you decide to make that shift away from, it sounded like you originally joined with your family's team and then you decided to go on your own and start your own. When did you decide to make that shift?
Yeah, I mean, when I partnered with my mom, like we worked together for a pretty short amount of time. It was fairly clear that like we were just at different places in our life and had different kind of goals that we were looking to get out of it. So we dissolved our partnership fairly soon after. Maybe we worked together for a year or so. So then I was really a solo agent for a while. I branded myself though as Serene Team even before I had agents, because I knew that was the vision where I wanted to eventually get to, and had like this one kind of junior at one point in time, but I don't consider that like we formed Serene Team at that point. But my business was just starting to overflow. I mean, I feel like that's where most team leaders kind of shift that gear, or in my opinion, they probably should wait until they're at the point where their business is overflowing, because so much of it is like the rainmaker kind of component of it. And I had a coach at the time who gave me really good advice because I initially was thinking like, oh, I just, will be handing off spillover business that I can't handle on my own. Like I need help with it. And my vision was that was what running a team looked like. And my coach was like, oh no, like you're going to also be a part of their business too. And, you're all going to be working, it, and like they're going to make money off your deals that you're giving them. But I also should be participating in their business as well. And, a proper team model. And, um, so that's really what started. It was just this understanding that I'm overflowing and I need help, and was looking up to like people like Kyle Whistle at the time, and seeing kind of how they're doing it and whatnot, and just being really inspired by it. And I reached out to two agents that I was their mentor when I was at like Keller Williams downtown LA office. So we were like friends, and I knew how they did real estate because I trained them in it, so it was kind of my lens or scope or whatever. And I just reached out and I was like, guys, I have a crazy idea. It might not work, right? And if it doesn't work, we'll just part our ways and we'll still be friends. But if it works out, it'd be pretty cool. And so they just kind of like took that leap of faith, and it started with me, two other agents, plus an admin who was also like a licensed agent. And we just built it really, really from there. Yeah.
So starting off with those three people plus you back in 2020, what does that look like now today? What does the structure look like today?
Yeah, very different now. So we're pretty close to 40 agents now. We might be at like 39 or something. And we're onboarding and offboarding quite often. But so yeah, very bit bigger agent count. And we actually there were growing pains with that too, because I was initially um, like actually working every single deal on the team. So when there were two main other producers, I'm like sharing showing duties. We're like going on all, listing appointments together and all that. And like true partnership kind of stuff. But you can't scale that model, like we broke basically once we got around to like 7 agents or so. I was just like spread too thin. So that was where it was like, okay, let's pull back a bit, um, you know, change the splits a little bit too to reflect that I'm contributing less of my time and energy in every file. And that was huge. Really, really a big, big move. Um, that this was actually, I want to say 20, like spring of 2022 was just a really big inflection point for us because like I got a new coach who I'm still coaching with now. His name's Joe Valadow. Great, great coach. Like really taught me how to like run it like a business. And we picked the wrong CRM horse as well. We were originally FirePoint clients because way back we're very early Ylopo clients, and so early Ylopo days, the kind of presentation was like FirePoint and Follow Up Boss both work great. Like pick whichever one you want. And then fast forward to this Ylopo conference in 2022 where I see Gabe Cordova, who was Mr. Firepoint.
Mhm.
He's on stage like showing Follow Up Boss like wearing, Ylopo Fub stuff, and I'm like, okay, like I picked the wrong horse here. Like so we did a whole CRM migration. Um, yeah, a lot changed then. And so then our growth was very good. You're kind of in this stage where you need to really rapidly grow your agent count because like and I fully believe this. Like, you need the same tech resources, mostly the same staff, whether you have a like 8 agent team or a 25 agent team or so. Like it's really your overhead increases substantially, right? Because you need all these things. And so if you're like really slowly growing your agent count, like you're just like really kind of drowning until you get more. Like I remember there was a lot of times where I was like, man, I was making so much money as a solo agent, and I didn't have all this additional responsibility and all these people who want my attention all day. Like, what really are we doing here? But as you continue to like get through that, they call it the messy middle. And then, just more agents means more production, more volume, more consistent, income coming in to justify the higher overhead and all that. So that was huge. And our staff has grown from one admin to now we have a transaction manager who's supported by a transaction coordinator as well. So like a two-person transactions team. We have an operations manager who helps with pretty much all things admin. She does a lot of our lead management too, like in Follow Up Boss, and we use Maverick to help with that a bit. Um, and then we have another support who just kind of miscellaneous, like VA admin, can do all sorts of stuff for us, like Skip Trace, does property tour scheduling for us, which is awesome to take that kind of off the agent's plate. Graphic design he does as well for us. And then our original admin has really grown with the team where she's one of our top producing agents, but she also now carries the role of director of agent success. So what she does for us is I break off a piece of the team commission that goes to her for her duty basically of being the person that agents are calling when they need help, need support. Because we do have a mentorship program for brand new agents, but even in that, like they're gonna have a mentor that's not the director of agent success. But what happens if that mentor is busy when help is needed, right? Like that's where mentorship programs really can struggle is if you don't have like a tiered support system, in my opinion. So it goes like if they're a mentee, it goes like mentor is the first person you reach out to, then our director of agent success, and then me. There with other people who can help if it's more like contracts, obviously transactions team and all that stuff. But then once they close 3 deals, they're still going to need help, right? And so she then still steps in as that first person that they're reaching out to for help with like, help me strategize on this offer, price this home out and all that. Because before we implemented her, that turned into my full-time job. Because as the agent count rises, that demand for your time really rises too. And I was realizing like I'm not a team leader. I'm just like helping with like very basic agent support stuff, and we need to provide that as a team, but I needed to kind of make that position happen. So that's where we're at now. So I think it's yeah, about like almost 40 agents and about five staff now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats. Did you get
Thank you.
that idea for the mentorship program from your coach, or is that something that you developed on your own?
He was super instrumental in it. A lot of brokerages, a lot of teams did have like a three deal thing. Like it's a fairly common concept, but like I do think that having that tiered support, because what if the mentor's on vacation or they're, it's just like it, yeah, because mentorship programs are so reliant on like is the mentee getting the support that they want? Like, are they connecting well? Like, and if you just have a one-to-one person without that additional like support, it can go bad pretty easily. So this has helped us a lot. And like I said earlier, we're onboarding and offboarding like very regularly. Because that's another thing that we've really improved upon was like our agent count is growing slowly, but we're really filling up with like our agents all produce, which is super important. Because early um in our team, there was one time where we had 20 agents, but maybe only like 8 or 9 were actually producing. And, like it's almost like a vanity thing for a team leader says, "Oh, I have 20 agents on my team." But the reality is that if they're not producing, they're taking up your time and resources. And they're also, it's not setting a good culture for the team to show that like mediocrity is, celebrated or tolerated or whatever. So, we've gotten a lot better with like having standards in place and like very, very willing to give people chances. We're very, if you're full time or close to full time, even if you're brand new, like we'll bring you on. Like we've got great training, great resources and all that, and we've got a good track record of developing brand new agents into producers quite well. But you just don't know what you're going to get until you kind of throw them in. And that's something we've really improved upon is like if somebody's not a good fit, they're not staying on our team for like a year before we offboard them. It's a lot quicker. And for brand new agents, we do like a 21-day challenge. So even before they're given a mentor, because the mentor has a responsibility to invest their time in them. So even before we ask a mentor to do that, they have to add, what is it? 100. We need, and this is all easy stuff. Like this is very basic. Some people are probably gonna listen to this and be like, "Oh, that's a piece of cake." But I want to see 100 contacts, like full contact information in FUB, and then 300 call attempts made, not conversations, just attempts in the first 21 days, and then we have Maverick. So one of the cool things with that is the AI role play, and so they have to do that daily for 21 days. Because it's really just an effort challenge. Like that we don't care what the outcome, what the performance outcome is of that, because we can tweak your scripting and all that later. Like that shows, like you need to show to us that you are willing to put in the work because that I can't pull out of somebody. Like you either get it or you don't, and so that's been helpful. If we wouldn't have been offboarding as aggressively, we'd probably be at like 80 agents or so, something like that. So it's a lot of onboarding and offboarding, but it's really helped us like get a good roster of like a lot of producing agents.
So I guess based on what you said, it'd be like maybe 50% of agents don't make the cut if you say you would have 80.
Probably, probably, maybe not quite 50. Maybe it'd be closer to 70 or something. But yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of where it just wasn't really the right fit, and that's all good. It's no harm, no foul. Nobody's upset with anyone. Um, and that's the beauty of Follow Up Boss too, is like, there's no kind of fibbing or anything. Like it's all right there, and we
Hmm.
we can see it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've mentioned Follow Boss, Maverick, and Ylopo. You've got your support staff, your mentorship program. Do you use anything else to help support your team members, like any other technologies or any other lead providers?
We have lots of lead partnerships. That's kind of like our team's I don't know, niche or lane is like having really good systems in place to like service online leads well. So we do Zillow, Homelight, we're on the Movoto, Veterans United, ZBuyer. I think those are our current ones, and we've over the years, like our database has all sorts of other ones, but yeah, that's kind of a big part of our team is like I help with each agent, like, okay, what are you going to be focusing on your own pillars of lead gen? Because everyone has different strengths, weaknesses, things they're comfortable doing. So we'll pick a few that's like unique to the agent, and then like everyone's gonna have Sphere and past clients, and then internet leads as another one. In terms of other tech, I'm trying to think. I'm sure that we do, but those are like the main ones for sure. Yeah, those are our
Yeah.
main.
Cool. So you switched over from Firepoint over to Follow Boss, and then you obviously kept Lopo,
Mhm.
and then you started to grow your team more and more. And then how did we get connected? Do you remember how Key Technology and you got
I've known
connected?
about you for a while just from the FUB Success Facebook chat. And my buddy actually, Justin Borges, you guys did with him. He's actually the guy who connected me to my coach, and I've since recruited him to my brokerage. And like we're very close, and we mastermind a lot together. And so he was very pleased with what you guys did, and again, I knew exactly who you were from just seeing you, always knowing all the cool answers and people tagging you and stuff in the community. So I've there's a lot in my business where I'm like, I know we'll eventually do that. I just don't quite know when. And you've been on that list for a while, so it just kind of made sense because yeah, we were doing a lot, just really trying to improve our conversion in general. And honestly, a lot of my idea of action plans has shifted since joining with you because I would tell my team before you like action plans are kind of silly. Like the best action plan is a property drip. That's kind of what I believed before your stuff. Because agents would be like, "Oh, we should put them on this email campaign or this," and I'm like, those email things are so spammy. They're not really providing value. And just work. Make sure that you have the property search turned on because that's what's valuable. But since joining on to yours, well, first of all, the drips are way better than whatever stock ones I was using before. So they're actually like providing value, and there's a lot of the emails have graphics, and just it's a lot better. And then the big thing too is like the automations and the triggers and all that stuff, where like as long as the agents are updating the stage properly, they don't really have to think about too much other stuff other than just clear the smart list. So that's been huge too, is just how seamless it is after just getting all the automations dialed in and whatnot. So yeah, we're happy, and the agents have told me that they are like, before we didn't have that many wins where like we're getting a lot of engagement with our campaigns, which is probably why I thought they were stupid. But now we have a lot of wins where it's like, oh my God, like this lead responded to this and it helped set up this conversation. Like we didn't really have a whole lot of that before with our campaign. So like it really is like a huge, huge, huge like lift in terms of that.
What do you think caused that shift in your mindset to maybe consider creating these automations?
Um, I think I knew that we could be leveraging Follow Up Boss at a higher level. And I understand that stuff pretty well with the automations, but it's also just such kind of a chore to do it yourself. And so that was just really attractive, was like knowing that you guys have your stuff super dialed in, knowing from other top teams that like they were very impressed with it. And to just kind of be able to like hire you guys to and know that that's literally like what you specialize in, that's your focus, and even if I know it a little bit, like you know it better for sure. So just I guess just kind of having that understanding and knowing that we'll get to where we're trying to go way quicker, by leaning into that. It did take us a while though to just make sure that we were like customizing the emails and stuff and just going through like this stuff we really like, we want to add this stuff in. So it it was something that I don't think I realized that for us to have it the way that we really want it, we had to go through and do all that, right? Which is so important though, because then it's still specific to like our brand. So like it took us a little bit to go through all that, but as soon as we were done with that, like just jumping on and turning all the automations on and stuff, that was super quick and easy. And yeah, it's really nice. It just kind of feels like Follow Boss is in like autopilot, but at a higher level than we had it before.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So can you give an overview of sort of the different automations that are set up and what your Follow Boss now looks like?
I mean, they're all yours.
Like,
I mean, it's basically just as simple as like when the agent is state or changing the stage. different campaigns are being turned on and off basically. So I'm sure there's other. Oh man, our the birthday one is so good too. And this is the perfect example I'd say of like what you kind of get like stock, with FUB action plans versus like the upgraded with yours. So the stock one is effective, right? It's a cute little dog GIF that is sent out on people's birthdays. The automation is turned on where if in the birthday field that day hits, this email is being sent out, happy birthday, cute little dog jumping on a trampoline. But it's the same thing every year, right? And
Mhm.
so with you guys, you thought of that and realized, oh, this would be improved if somebody received a different dog or whatever cute little happy birthday thing it is. I think they're mostly dogs
Yeah,
still.
mostly dogs. We tried
Yeah,
to choose something that most people would like. I said, well,
yeah,
maybe some people aren't cat
dogs.
people, or so we just thought dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's perfect. And so it's like it's like a 15-year action plan or something like that, or
I think
10
it's
years.
20. Yeah.
20, yeah. So I love that because like we're my team at least, like we're gonna be doing this for the next decade plus for sure. So to know that like I don't have to reinvent the wheel or think like, yikes, I've sent the same thing, like, so it's taking this concept and just like putting it on steroids and making it just better, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, and then what has the adoption been like with your team? Do all 40 of your agents use Follow Up Boss? Is that a requirement, an expectation in order
Yeah.
to receive the company leads and to stay on the team?
Totally is, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, I think our culture in general has helped with that because we've always, been like, you got to be doing this stuff. We onboard and like very much train on it. Like I said earlier, we have morning Zooms every single morning, and very often I'm screen sharing and just workshopping and follow up boss like this was done right. This should have been done this way. We're auditing calls and all that. So it's very much a part of our process. Um, and when we were like shifting to your stuff, like we made it very clear. We're like, guys, you're gonna see more automations and more action plans and all that than you've seen before. But like, don't be freaked out by it. Like, please trust that our ops manager and Beverly and me, like I was just saying, we spent months like super dialing all that in, like making sure that everything was specific to our brand, specific to our markets. If we have like our own guides that we've built and had designed, like we're including all that. So like trust that even though there's going to be a lot more of this happening, that it is not like spammy. Because that a lot of agents, they very much care about like making sure that the communication outbound is not overdoing it. It's always relevant to like where the lead's at. Which again is why like the automations with the stage changes and all that, like everything boils down to just the stages have to be accurate. They have to be. And if they are, then everything works well, including AI texting and all that stuff that's like only for certain stages. Like, so if something is sent that is tone deaf, that's really the agent's fault that they had it staged wrong. Because if it's staged properly, it's totally, the way that it should be. So we showed a lot of that. And I even like before we turned it on, like I showed what a lot of the main action plans look like, like new internet lead kind of thing. Like here's all the emails they're gonna get, just to make sure everyone was felt comfortable and worked well. And we had really very little friction when we turned everything on and started moving it over. So it was great. Yeah.
It's awesome. That's so great to hear. And that's so great to hear that you've had these many success stories in such a short amount of time. I think it's only been what, 4 months, five
Yeah,
months.
totally.
That's incredible. Well,
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you so much, Kyle, for sharing not
Yeah.
only your experience with that, but all of those nuggets of your journey and some insights into how you've been able to scale and build a team. That's some
Totally.
awesome stuff.
Cool. Thank you.